Welcome to Talk Dirt to Me, where two farmers shatter myths and take on the top issues facing America's farmers. Here's your hosts, Logan and Bobby Lee.
What's up, everybody?
Another good evening.
Another good evening. We got an awesome episode. Another really good guest episode. If y'all can see the video, Bobby Lee put him in the good chair so he keeps sinking.
Is the chair already losing altitude?
Yeah, he's aired it up twice.
Oh, Lord.
He's like, welcome. Hey, do you want a regular chair?
Nah, yeah, that'll work.
All right, yeah. Well, grab your own chair. We're going to really give you the good treatment, make him get his own chair.
Yeah, I was just about to say this is a very special guest.
This is. And before y'all get to find out who the guest is, we need you to do a couple things. First, we need you to hit that like button, hit subscribe, leave us a rating and a review. And if you're tuning into this on Friday morning, you've got like a couple hours before the giveaway ends. It ends on the 27th.
Yeah, hopefully you've already entered.
Yeah.
But if you have not...
You've really wasted a lot of time because we gave you like 3 weeks to enter. So,
yeah.
But get on there. I think I got it ending at like 12 o'clock on the 27th. So you got time to get in there and enter. But you need to do that. Like I said, comment on this video. Let us know what you thought. Submit your questions to us, talkdirtpodcast.com, and go to the contact page, and you can submit on there. And what else I need to do?
Well, part of that giveaway is an excellent company called agzaga.com. But if you don't win the giveaway, you don't win the gift card, you can always check them out and use the discount code TALKDIRT20. That's $20 off of a minimum $50 order and free shipping. All the good stuff. I'm not going to try to list everything they have. I don't even know everything they have. It's that vast. Belknap wrap is great. I actually used a little of it today.
I know. You ever going to get this wrap?
Well, I was just telling Tim. I just gave it away.
You gave it away.
I was telling him that I was like, I need to get that one. I put that exact roll on my baler today. The Bale Tough Freedom Net Wrap, which I was using some of their blue and gold FFA net wrap. But I was like, oh my gosh, like Independence Day is next week.
Yeah, come on, man. Don't be a commie.
I rolled enough hay to, I mean, it's FFA. It's not like it's the future farmers of Africa or anything.
What's wrong with Africa?
No, I'm just saying. Hey, I'm already an anti-Semite.
You hate Jews. Now you hate Africans.
Golly. But yeah, FFA, I'm still supporting the future farmers of America. But now I was glad to put the red, white, and blue back on there. Yeah.
There you go.
That USA Pride. Yeah, agzaga.com, TalkDirt20 is the discount code.
There you go. Do that. We got an awesome guest tonight. It's actually the second podcast I've done with them.
Yeah.
We did a long one when I had you on the other old show.
Yeah.
And this is Mr. Tim DeSalvo. He's our bourbon sponsor. Yep. I'm drinking the coveted George T. Stagg, thanks to Mr. Tim, which is, as some of you may know, that is my favorite bourbon that there is. Yeah, man, Mr. Tim, he got an illustrious career in the military. We won't drop where you work now, but he's still in the air. And he has his pride flag on the back of his truck when he pulled in.
Absolutely. Bobby Lee inspired me.
Yeah, well, when he was talking about his bale wrap, I kept waiting on him to say he had finally gotten that pride flag wrap.
Yeah.
Agzaga.
They're slacking. It's the month of June.
They don't have a red or a rainbow bayonet wrap.
That's a shame. They're not being inclusive.
In all seriousness, it's the real shame.
Is that the rainbow was kidnapped from Christianity?
The rainbow has been totally hijacked. Which, a little side note, of course, baseball season's going on right now. The LA Dodgers had like their traditional Dodger blue hat with the LA logo.
Oh.
And of course, normally the LA is just white. It was rainbow. But Clayton Kershaw, who's, which he's been in the big leagues for a long time now, but ace starting pitcher, and I forget the exact verse in Genesis, but he had written Genesis, the verse. It was the reference to.
So he's one of the players.
Yeah,
gotcha.
But it was just like, and people were like, course, all the LGBTQ people are like, why can't he? But pretty much he was kind of protesting having to wear the rainbow.
Well, that's good.
But he was letting them know, like, hey, this rainbow means more than just gay pride.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, yeah, it is a shame that it got hijacked like that.
Oh, it is. I was telling somebody that literally yesterday we were talking about the rainbow stuff, and I said, you know, it does suck because the rainbow is biblical. And that's what they were like, well, now the rainbow doesn't represent them because it's like black and they got all kinds of different weird colors now.
Well, and I remember used to, like, it was a big, like, children's thing.
Yeah.
Like, I think, I'd have to ask my mom, but I think even my room, you know, whenever they paint it.
Your
like,
room was rainbow?
And so now it's like.
Yeah, this answers a lot of questions.
Yeah, exactly. like I'm embarrassed to even admit that. But it's like, yeah, you can't have that around. Because, I mean, I don't know, immediately if I see, like, a kid wearing a bunch of rainbow gear, I'm like, all right, their parents are pedophiles. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you know. But, I mean, that's the world we live in nowadays.
It is.
I
Well,
mean,
Poor kid.
the first rainbow most people come in contact with is Noah.
yep.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, what a beautiful story that is, that they know that they're going to finally be safe because they see the rainbow.
Yep.
And now it gets hijacked, yeah.
Yeah, it does. It's annoying. I mean, it just annoys the crap out of me. But not to go off on that rant, but they try to hijack everything.
That's true.
I mean, that's the thing. They've hijacked movies. Like I love movies, and I'm like super leery of watching new movies because it's in everything. And so, yeah, they just hijack everything. But, I think it was funny probably 2 years ago, I sent you that picture of the Marines.
Yeah.
Because Mr. Tim, he is a Marine. I know once a Marine, always a Marine. But I sent him this picture off Instagram, and it was June, and the Marine Corps put up a picture of a helmet, and then it had bullets in the like band on the helmet, and they were different colored. They were rainbow tipped, and they got annihilated in the comments.
Oh, hell yeah, they did. And it didn't stay. I was just going to say, it didn't stay up very long.
No, it did not. No, it did not. I wonder, did you figure out how it got took down? Was there enough backlash?
Oh yeah, and not just from active duty Marines and reserve Marines. It was Marines that once a Marine, always a Marine. So you've got these retirees, guys that did 4 years and got out, and they all bombarded the headquarters with no.
Yeah.
Not only no, but hell no.
I just don't. It just frustrates me that they have to put the politics in there. Period. Yeah. I sent Bobby Lee something. I don't know, a couple weeks ago of Syngenta, the big company, big ag company, and they had like a post up and honoring LGBT people in ag, and I'm like, all right, ag, we already are a pretty small portion of the population. And so it's like, I wonder what percentage of that is actually LGBT. It's got to be insanely small number.
Yeah, we're already the 1%. And that would have to be like the 1% of the 1%.
That's what I'm saying. It's like 12 people that are gay in ag. But yeah, it just blows my mind. But
and actually, I don't know a lot of gay people in ag, but the few that I do know are so anti, like, all that.
Yeah.
Like they're like, look, I'm gay. I'm not, like, all about. Like,
yeah.
They're not flying the flag and all that sort of stuff. Like,
Well, they're usually, I mean, it's like the people that come here legally are some of the ones that are I shouldn't say despised, but do not like illegals, people coming here illegally because of that. Because
yep.
So
right,
it's the same thing.
Well, did you see where Arnold Schwarzenegger, he's been on?
He's gay?
Yeah, yes. Man, I would be devastated. I would really be devastated if he was gay. That's my childhood hero. He did, his mom thought he was gay. I read his biography.
Really?
Yeah. And in his biography, he talks about, because, he was into bodybuilding. And in Austria, that was a very, and this was back in like probably the 60s. Yeah. So in Austria in the 60s, 70s, that bodybuilding wasn't a huge thing. And he said that all of his buddies, they had like posters of some famous woman on their walls. And he said in his room, he had bodybuilders because it was like inspired him. And he said his mom was always like, I don't know about this kid. Like a bunch of dudes old up, flexing their muscles. And So he said, my mother was worried for a while.
I can see where that could maybe worry a mother.
Yes, but he's been doing the rounds on some of the television shows, and they've been pushing him, Jimmy Kimmel, who I can't stand, and The View. He's been on both those crappy shows. Both of them tried to get him to like remark harshly about the L.A. Riots and all this stuff. He wouldn't do it, and he even said like, we need a good legal process. He's like, you have to know who's coming in the country.
That's right.
And so you could tell they did not like it, but and that's what I'm thinking. I'm like, he did it the right way. Yeah. So, all right, we got a couple of emails before we get into this one. And this first one, these are really good emails. The first one comes from Aaron from Colorado. I'm gonna give you a little cheat. This is actually, he's a cousin, so he's in. He is married into Marcy's family, and he's a hilarious
so
cousin.
He's like your cousin-in-law.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And so he says, I am a longtime listener and big fan of the Talk Dirt to Me podcast. On multiple occasions, you have asked for feedback about the show. I have struggled to provide any given the awesome content week after week. However, now that the lid to the Bobby Grimace Lee jar has been loosened, I feel ready to come forward with something that's been bothering me for quite some time. This is not in reference to the recent expose of his geopolitical views of the Middle East, as was discussed in detail in the 620 episode, nor is it about his blatant cattle racism. He seems so focused on the color of cows. Are they red? Are they black? If they are black, does that make them Japanese? His fascination with the color of their coat over the delightful content of their cuts really takes away from his deep knowledge of the cattle business. Writing this makes me hungry for steaks or burgers, so I shall move on to the important matter at hand. I strongly believe that for Talk Dirt to Me to go to the next level requires Bobby Lee to pick up his game when it comes to 80s movie and TV references. Anything outside of Top Gun puts an episode at risk. I understand that his time is greatly compromised with running a vet clinic, ranch, raising a family, etc., but putting in the work to catch up on 80s nostalgia would be a worthwhile investment. I feel good finally getting that off my chest. Thank you for attention to this matter. Sincerely, Aaron from Colorado.
There we go.
Wow.
Now, he did say, full disclosure, I have married into the Hanks family. In fact, Marcy used to bully and harass me in the mid to late 90s. Her sisters and a select group of cousins were widely recognized as one of the most notorious street gangs in the Brighton area at the time. I survived him and am doing well.
Which Marcy is Logan's wife.
Yes.
Don't get that. I don't care about color of cattle, except it's the market that cares. And hey,
so you're defending it.
It's almost reverse racism because black cattle are the most valuable.
That actually is true. That is true.
Yeah,
but
anything that's not black gets discriminated against.
Yes. So the question then is, are you going to step up your 80s film knowledge?
I feel like I probably have more 80s film knowledge than I do like current film knowledge.
Yeah, that's true. Have you seen Lethal Weapon?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Yeah, Aaron, he's got to step up his later movies. I feel like, the 90s may be your weak point because you got the 2000s because that was like old school road trip.
Yeah, like I'm probably good up to like 2010.
Oh, yeah. Well, mine falls off pretty good there.
2005, maybe.
Have you seen Old School, Mr. Tim?
Oh, yeah.
That's a classic. Yeah, Old School.
I've seen that one multiple times.
That one is just a good one. Frank the Tank. All right, Aaron, we appreciate you writing in, man. We'll keep you posted on how Bobby Lee's journey goes with the movies. All right, here we go. So last week we read this email from Dan, and that's the one where Bobby Lee and me, by innocent association, was called an anti-Semite. So Dan wrote back, and he said, Dear Bobby Lee and Logan, thank you for responding to my email on episode 191 and giving it so much attention. I was laughing, including the joke at the end. I appreciate being able to write to you about any subject. On everyone reacting, you must be a homophobe, a racist, etc., I have learned that America first can mean plain anti-Semitism or being adverse to getting involved in anything overseas. I had thought it meant anti-globalization. I didn't know where you guys stood, seeing you had mentioned America First a number of times. I think many Jews are sensitive to anti-Semitism, and I wondered if I should even have written to you and just stopped watching. Your unscripted honesty is great, and no, I don't get easily offended. On the current state of agriculture, when you were kids, did your parents' generation, and even before that, have the difficult years last year and this year everyone near you is having now? In general, is it getting harder to farm? Best of luck to you, Logan. Well, I have to get back to work liking every YouTube podcast. Keep up the good work.
Yeah.
So, I've read that. It gave me a little more faith in humanity. I was like, all right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, he just read way too much into what was a very benign statement.
And we are very America First. I mean, that's just.
Oh, yeah. Which that's part of the reason why we have our special guest tonight.
Yes.
Which, tell everybody a little bit about who you are.
He is the bringer of death.
Well, give us the 2-minute rundown.
Well, hold on. He did ask a question here. When
Okay. My bad.
when you were kids, did your parents' generation have difficult years?
Okay.
The 80s is the one everybody talks about.
It was the early 80s.
Yeah.
When everything went.
It went to crap, and then interest rates were also like 18%. And that's what broke a lot of guys. But I feel like this is our generation's 80s now.
I need to ask my dad more specifically now. My dad graduated vet school in 1980. Worked in another town in West Tennessee for a couple of years, and then he opened up to practice where we still are today. And at the same time, our dads, partnered up and then been farming together all along, and our granddad was farming. I don't know, because neither one of them were like full-time farmers at that time. Obviously, I would have to ask Dad, how that was. I feel like the answer would be, during that time when it was really tough, he was definitely more focused on just the veterinary business, getting that off the ground and whatnot. But
I got a landlord that was peak farming cotton in that time frame. And he told me that he had 2 years back-to-back that were really bad. And he said that he maxed out credit cards, and he said he got denied his actual input loan. Like, he went to the bank. That's back when every year you'd go sit down with your banker, and you'd be like, all right, I'm going to need $300,000 to put my crops in this year. And they'd be like, you're good to go or you're not. And he said he was told that he was not good to go. So he said he borrowed money on 27% interest rate to put in his crops that year. He was like, I went to one of those places that you don't go to borrow money. And he said it literally was 27% interest or something crazy. He farmed on that, said he was maxing out credit cards, and he said, and somehow he was like, we made it out of that. And then he ended up getting out and opened a liquor store. And he said it was the best thing he ever did. So, but yeah, I don't know, man. I would say that was the 80s. The 80s is like an iconic one. And I do feel like right now we're in that boat because, and I've had people argue with me. They're like, this ain't as bad. Our interest rates aren't as high. Our interest rates on some of our lines of credit is 8 to 9% still. And I know that's not 18%, but you also got to take into account we're paying probably 3 to 4 times the input cost of they were back then, and our prices are not 3 to 4 times higher. Right now corn is barely over $4, and beans might even be down into the 9s now. I saw today.
That's what I got feed delivered yesterday. It's actually cheaper than it was like 2 weeks ago when I had feed delivered. Yeah,
and seeing that don't make any sense because everybody's crops are suffering. So really, the prices ought to be going up.
Yeah, well, and I was kind of surprised when I saw my ticket. I knew it doesn't usually fluctuate greatly. I was like, it's actually $8 a ton cheaper than it was last time.
So what's stopping the commodity prices from going up?
Is
it production in Brazil, for overseas production?
They've been hammering, and it's still just a large global supply.
We still produce too much.
Well, yeah.
So in general, is it getting harder to farm? Honestly, I would say yes. I feel like the shift has gone to the motto that everyone's heard now, and that's get big or get out.
I think it has definitely gotten harder if you want to simply be a commodity farmer.
Yeah.
Like that.
If you want to drive Mercedes, then you be a cattle farmer like Bobby Lee. That's like, they're the big money ballers right now.
Well, the problem with that is, I mean, it's the same thing.
You got to buy in.
The cow-calf guys may be, really, making out like bandits, especially if they've been in it for a while. But, and we do a little bit of cow-calf, but, we're buying a lot of calves. We're buying them in the same market.
Yeah.
And we're having to buy really high-dollar calves. But, yeah, I think the days of a young guy getting in and just being a corn and soybean farmer, at least for now, that no way. Like,
I would agree.
You need to be hitting some kind of a niche, which we've kind of preached that for a while.
Cocaine is the niche that I've been telling everybody they need to get into.
Yeah, figure out a way.
Quit having to import it from Colombia.
Well, we ought to know more about that as agriculturists.
As much as we have to talk about cocaine, we should.
I assume most of the marijuana on the market here in the U.S. gets imported.
Yeah. Does it?
I don't know anymore.
I didn't say. I don't know if it does anymore.
But like, I guess my point was or at one point it got imported, but like we figured out how to grow that here in many cases, apparently.
So we need to figure out how to grow cocaine here. So
Well,
we're saying.
I mean, if there is a market, from a pure just, capitalist standpoint, like if the demand is there, we're having to import all this supply. I've always said, like, and I'm anti, people doing illegal drugs. I mean, that's not a good thing. Certainly underage kids, but would I rather us be importing it out of South America, or rather, Billy Joe down here in the river bottom be having a grow?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably rather keep that money here in the county.
Well, if I just knew a helicopter pilot, I'd find an old helicopter and we'd start flying it in. But I just, I might know a helicopter pilot that could do that.
You might.
I was when I was baling hay today, I had my playlist going phone. Copperhead Road came on.
Yeah. Did you ever jam that when you were flying around the helicopter?
Not in the helicopter, no.
You didn't have music in there?
No, about the only thing we had was the ADF. It's a direction finding. It's old technology, but you could tune in AM radio stations.
Oh, really?
And so we would, and we actually even had it on the planes where I work now, some of the older planes. And I going across the country one time, I was listening to the World Series on the
really
just hopping from AM station to AM station across the country.
So even the planes now, you don't have like a radio besides that?
No.
Really?
So could you pick up AM stations over there in the Middle East?
No, not exactly.
Would it be like the call to worship or
that's
prayer
exactly
or
what I
something?
was,
Something like that.
Yeah.
That's what I was envisioning, was the prayer music.
I don't
Or were
remember.
you?
Tell us who you are.
Okay. Tim DeSalvo, the official bourbon supplier of the podcast, I guess. No, I spent 14 years on active duty in the Marine Corps. I flew Cobras, and then I left active duty, went to the reserves, and I spent another 14 years in the reserves. And so, with that, I was in Gulf One, or Desert Storm. I stayed in the Gulf after hostilities ceased, and then came back. And ended up going back for Gulf 2 as a staff officer in Qatar. Al Udeid is where I was based at, and I would take every month or so. I would go up to Iraq to Al Assad and check in with the 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing, which is who I worked for. So that is where I've spent more time in the big sandbox than I care to, and I'm not even close to being the longevity. Wise, there are guys that have spent 5, 6, 7 more time over there than I have. But
you did fly in. I know one of the cool things you've said before, wild to think about, is when Saddam set all the oil wells on fire.
Oh yeah.
Because you were one of the first ones in on that, weren't you?
Yep. The most dangerous thing I did in Gulf One was try to fly through those oil well fires. I can't describe the environmental impact, but just the conditions. At one point, we were flying a 4 Cobras. We called it a division, so it was 4 Cobras, and then we had a Huey that had a laser rangefinder and a laser designator on it, and that was for the Hellfire missiles. And we came up to these power lines. You could not see the top of the power lines, so we, one by one, you didn't want to go underneath them because you didn't know if they were down or not.
Yeah.
So one by one, we pulled up to the stanchion, and you hovered up and pirouetted across the top because you could keep inside of the stanchion and came down the other side.
Dang.
It was ludicrous.
Yeah, because I guess if you hit that, it's going to wrap up in and just take you down.
You that would not be those high tension power lines. No, you don't want anything to do with that.
Dang.
Yeah, because visibility was just zero.
Yeah, it was about 50 feet above the ground. You couldn't see hardly anything. I used to have a picture. I don't know where it's at now, but of Kuwait International. When we landed, we were the first airplanes to land at Kuwait International, and we were there for like 3 days supporting 1st Marine Division. And I've got a picture of my watch. I'm taking a picture, and it says 2:00 in the afternoon, and you can't see my hand hardly at all.
Just so, yeah.
It's just so damn much smoke.
Did he do that for that purpose?
I believe he did that for that purpose, but also they were Kuwaiti oil wells, so he was trying to destroy the infrastructure of Kuwait. And so I don't think they purposely did it trying to cause the environmental disaster and slow our advance. They did it to try to bring Kuwait pissed off that, they were now getting their asses handed to them. So.
Yeah. Did we have like military firefighters that had to go and put those oil wells out?
Actually, it was I want to say Brown and Root, but that's not it. Who's the big old guys? Root is the second. It's somebody in Root, if I remember right.
Oh yeah.
But they were the ones. They're civilians, and they went over and put. The fact that they got them put out as quick as they did, is absolutely amazing. But there was oil. There was literally like creeks or rivers of oil running across the sand.
Really?
Because all they did was came through and knocked the wellheads off, and then some of them they lit on fire, and some of them didn't get lit on fire. And so you had these oil wells just spewing oil straight up in the air.
That's crazy.
Oh, it's nuts. And the environmental, I can't believe, of course, I haven't been back in that area in Kuwait in quite a while, but I can't believe that there's still not repercussions from what they did.
Yeah.
It's just unbelietable.
Now you, on the Cobra, that was a 2-seater.
Yeah.
So, like my initial thought, I'm thinking of Vietnam. When I was going to talk to you about the radio, I forgot you were in a 2-seater, basically. And I'm like, you couldn't hear the radio because your door gunner was going, get some, get some, like over there. And, but you were the guy going, get some, as you're launching Hellfire missiles.
Yep. That, Hellfire is a great weapon. When we had them in the Gulf, they were the Hellfire 1s, and they were designed as pure anti-tank weapons, but they are neat. They're really, now they make like 14 different variants. They've got so many different warheads on the dadgum things. They use them for all kinds they even have an anti-personnel one now.
A missile for anti-personnel? Man, that's the one I'd want to shoot. I'd love to shoot a man with a missile. I feel like that'd be pretty awesome. Did you ever get to shoot a man with a Hellfire?
No. That would be a little bit of a waste.
It's like, we're just going to go overkill. This one guy really just keeps throwing some bullets. I just want to see him just vaporize.
I'd rather just, in the later model of the Cobra that I flew, we had a laser on the front end of it, self-contained.
Yeah.
And the laser would burn your eyeballs out.
Really?
Oh yeah.
So did you get to use that?
Oh yeah, we used that. It was later. It was mid-90s when we got it.
So you'd like shine a laser? Would you see them be like, like?
Well, you never pointed it at anybody, but that was one of the tactics we would use when you talking air to air, is laze the hell out of the guy in the other. What
airplane. Was the actual purpose of the laser? Is that what it was for?
It was for the Hellfire.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
You would use it so you could self-contain. We didn't have to have a Huey or another platform with a designator. You could designate yourself, or you could designate for your buddy, whichever.
And now, how many Gatling guns were on the Cobra?
It's the same gun as on the F-16. It's just it's got half the barrels, so it reduces the rate of fire to around 750 rounds per minute. Now you never hammered it down for a whole minute. It was usually just in bursts.
Yeah. Oh man, only 750 rounds a minute.
20 millimeter cannon is what it was. I always used to say it was the best deer gun in the world. And I've heard, mind you, that if you shoot a one hump camel in the hump with an HEI round, high explosive incendiary round, that the camel will explode.
Really?
I've heard that.
Only heard that.
I've only heard that.
Oh man, yeah, that's the Cobra, because there was, what was it? The Cobra, the Apache, and then you said the Huey was still in there. Man, that's just, and now it's funny. You kind of got into that accidentally almost.
Yeah. Out of college, I had no intention to go on the Marine Corps. Walking out of the cafeteria, and there was a Marine recruiter there, and he handed me a pamphlet. And I reach up on my desk about 3 weeks later, get a can of Skull, and this pamphlet falls down. Start looking at it, and go, it looked pretty good on the resume.
Yeah.
So that's how I contacted him, and then the guy that recruited me was actually a pilot. And so I took the ASVAB, and I evidently did pretty well on the ASVAB, because he said, here, go take this other test. No idea what it was. AQTFAR is what I found out later, but it was the aviation test.
Yeah.
And I evidently did pretty well on that because I got a guaranteed aviation contract.
Well, and don't let Mr. Tim fool you. The dude's got a degree in mathematics, so he's not a dummy.
I barely know how to add 2 plus 2. I got lucky.
Yeah, I feel like if I had to select a degree that I think I would have done well in college, at the bottom of the list, a degree in mathematics would have been that.
The whole reason I ended up doing that is because I actually wanted to go into computers when I first started, and I started out as a computer science major. My sophomore year, the computer companies hired no computer scientists. They hired all mathematicians because of the way you're taught to think, just like a computer. And so that's what made me change my major to mathematics. And I'm like, I struggled. I won't even tell. I graduated, but I did not. I was not on the dean's list. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Or anywhere close to it.
I would not be with mathematics.
Yeah.
Yeah. You ever think about flying a helicopter, Bobby Lee?
Not really.
Do you think you could fly one right now? Like if
like if the world was coming to an end and I needed to get to the chopper.
Yeah, you got to. There you go. Yeah.
That's a 90s movie reference, but yeah.
80s, but yeah, we'll let it slide.
True Lies, it had to be the 90s.
Oh, you just ruined it. It was Predator.
That's not True Lies.
No, damn it. You were on a roll and then you just ruined it.
I swear I thought that was True Lies.
No, it's when he tells him, get to the chopper, and it's in Predator.
Okay. Well, I've seen them both.
Man.
No.
You got me. I was pumped up, and now I'm let down.
Well,
you knew it was Predator, didn't you?
Sure.
No, I'm not confident. Like, if I had to fly it to try to save the world,
you got to get in.
I'd probably die trying.
Do you think we could a man, like, all right, a bomb has been landed, and I can see it, and for some reason there's a Cobra in my backyard. Do you think I could get in that Cobra and fly it off?
No.
My answer is, yeah, you'd die trying. Or you might not even get off the ground.
As soon as you pick, you might very well not break ground. No, the hardest thing about a helicopter is your feet do something. In most airplanes, and especially centerline thrust airplanes, so you think twin, at least jet airplanes, but really centerline thrust, you don't have to do a lot with your feet.
Yeah.
Not so in a helicopter.
So what are you doing with your feet in a helicopter?
Well, you're changing the pitch on the tail rotor, and the only reason the tail rotor's there is to counter the torque from the main rotor.
Okay.
So, like in the Cobra, it's spun counterclockwise, so the torque was in the opposite direction. So when you added power, and this is you got a collective, so you add power, you've got a step on left rudder. And that changes, and what that does is the only reason the tail rotor's there is to counteract the torque.
So just to keep you from like spinning around?
If you did not have it, that's what you would do. You would spin in the opposite direction of the rotor blades.
Wow. Now the Cobra's pretty fast. It was a fast helicopter, wasn't it?
Yeah. Relatively for a helicopter, yes.
Yeah.
It's even faster now. They've got
I was gonna say, is it still? I mean, I'm assuming now. Is it still the Cobra, just highly upgraded now?
It is still known as the Super Cobra. They actually call it the Venom now, I believe, or is it the Huey's the Venom and the Cobra's the Viper, or I can't remember which one's which. But it's four-bladed. It's got an all-composite rotor head.
Four-bladed. Was it four-bladed when you?
No, it was two-bladed, underslung. The deal with the four blades is it's a fully rigid rotor head. So what that means is you could actually do aerobatics in the thing. You won't rip the. In mine, if you went negative G's in the whiskey model, you were going to lose the mast, which is bad because then the main rotor goes one way and the helicopter goes the other. And yeah, that's generally not a good thing.
Now, could you pull a G in that thing?
Oh yeah, it was rated to. I think three something G's.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, and you would approach that relatively coming off target. So if you were rolled in, you were shooting rockets and guns, and you're running downhill. Usually you're doing about 180. Now this is not, so it's going to be up above 200 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And then you start the pull off, and as you start the pull off, you're going to feel that in the pull here.
Just sink you back in there.
Yeah. So.
Man, I didn't realize y'all pulled so much G's in there.
No, I mean it's not a constant pull. Most of the time it's 1G. Straight level flight, or even your turns for the most part are not more than about a G and a half, maybe a G and a quarter, somewhere in that neighborhood. So.
How often do you watch movies with like people doing ridiculous stuff in planes and helicopters, and just like have to get up and leave the room?
Quite often.
I would imagine it's damn near every scene,
yeah.
whether there's any type of aircraft involved.
So, could you pull 9 Gs?
In the Cobra, no.
Is that what Top Gun
in Maverick? When he pulls up out of there, he gets to 9 Gs going to the top.
Yeah, I almost had to leave that one, but JoJo and I went to see it in the movie theater, so I couldn't really get up and leave. But
so that was one that you just
is that the one where they then steal like the old plane?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, is that even realistic?
Not really.
Yeah, I assume not. But
the way they started it, no. And then the pulling of the 90s, you might get away with it once, but that plane would have been so bent. I would
really.
So
we don't have a plane that could withstand 9 Gs?
Oh yeah, we do, but not the F-18.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I say. If you exceeded that G limit like that, if you approached those G's that they were pulling in that movie supposedly, most of the people could not stay awake.
Yeah,
that would be the first thing. Even if you were able to stay awake, you're going to break the plane. They're probably not going to be able to fly it again.
Yeah,
because you just over-G'd everything in that airplane.
Yeah.
So. I mean, you got to realize that's 9 times the force of gravity. So if you
what kind of speed is that?
You weigh 200 pounds standing here. You now weigh
18,000, 1,800 pounds. Yeah. Okay, well that's what in the movie I think he says you will have 2,000 pounds of force on your body.
Yeah.
Now I wonder what is the speed of 9 Gs? Like how fast would you be going at that speed?
Gs are not. They're related to speed, but it's more about energy, what your energy state is as to how many G's you can pull. And that's the other thing. You would have to have so much energy on the airplane when you pulled to get to 9 G's without stalling the airplane out, which means you stall, you lose lift on the wings, and the airplane does not like that.
Did you ever stall a helicopter?
No. Now, you can get into retreating blade stall on a helicopter, which is not good. But as a general rule, no. In a helicopter, like I said, the biggest thing was the retreating blade stall. You're not going to stall it because it doesn't have doesn't quote unquote have wings on it. Your wings are rotating above your head.
Yeah. Is the flying the Cobra into these things like you are? I mean, you're going that kind of speed? I mean, are they able to shoot at you and stuff? I mean,
oh yeah. But one of the reasons that the Cobra is so narrow, it's a tandem seat, 2-seat airplane. one of the reasons is it was developed from the Huey in Vietnam. It's the fastest development of a aircraft from conception to being put into service.
Really?
Of any airplane in the U.S. inventory, and it came from the Huey. What they did was they took a Huey and just scrunched it down. Bell did.
Yeah.
And part of the reason they did that was for so that when you're a harder target to hit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Man, yeah, that's just cool. I've never rode in a helicopter, but I've always, and
Yeah.
Well, see, I always used to tell people everybody's born with a finite number of helicopter rides in their life, and I burned mine up
Yeah.
pretty rapidly.
yes, yeah, I'm sure. So if they called you right now, you wouldn't want to go back?
Oh, I'd go back in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I mean, I always tell people, I mean, it's funny to me, but the more dangerous my job was, the less money I got paid. So I get paid more now, right now, and it's the least dangerous job I've ever done in
Isn't that
airplane.
funny?
Yeah, it's completely wild.
Yeah.
Backwards is the way I would see it.
It is crazy to hear, guys, I mean, you were in for about 40 years.
30.
Yeah. Okay. And so that's what a buddy of mine was talking about. There's a dude, he was in this study and he's in special operations, and they were doing like a study on basically the body. If I understand the study right, they were studying veterans' bodies that had been through combat and like the toll of combat. And it sounds like it was quite a few actual like SF guys in this thing. And he was telling me one of the dudes there was like the most highly decorated SEAL that's active duty. And I was like, well, how old of a guy is he? Because I'm thinking, he's still active. And I think he said he was in his 50s.
Yeah.
And I said, and this dude is still, I said, well, he must not be going outside the wire. And he was like, oh, no, he still is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I couldn't imagine. Like, you got to be just a different animal.
Oh, yeah. Some of those SF guys are different animals.
Yeah.
And they're driven, and God bless them. I mean, we're so lucky that they're on our side.
Yeah. But I'm sure they're glad to have, because I can only imagine, again, I have no idea about war, but if I was in like a war zone and shit's hitting the fan, the godsend from the heavens would be if we're in some heat and all of a sudden a damn swarm of Cobras comes in and just lights the world up.
The Marines are very fond of the Cobra, but there's one airplane that they like even more, at least in Iraq, in both, especially Gulf II, and that was the C-130.
The big bomber?
Well, no, C-130 is it's a special ops Air Force airplane, but it has a 155 millimeter cannon that sticks out one side. It's got the 20 millimeter chain gun up front, and then it's got I forget what it's got on the other side, but they'll sit there and they'll orbit, and
it's a big plane,
and it can stay on station forever. And the Marines loved that when they were clearing buildings like in Fallujah.
Yeah,
they loved that thing.
You got a building, you can't get in there and get just level it.
Oh, pinpoint accuracy. It's amazing that they can do how they can do that. But the Marines love that thing.
I can imagine you want that air superiority, for sure. Well, some people listening may be like, well, what's this got to do with ag? Well, for one, Mr. Tim is a hay man, not a gay man. Some of you might have thought I said that. He's a hay man. But we wanted to talk to him because there's a lot of shit going down right now.
Yeah, I told him to behave in the Middle East, and that's when I became an anti-Semite.
Yeah, I told y'all, it's hard to sit next to Bobby Lee because his hatred for Jews is like burning.
I mean,
you feel it.
Yeah.
And damn it, we got involved. I showed up to a buddy's house Saturday night. He's like, we just bombed Iran. I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, we're in there.
Well, so,
which I don't know.
And that's what I like.
It changed. So this weekend, I was on a layover, and in
Iran.
No, your favorite place, close, California.
California. Yeah, I was gonna say it's got to be California.
And so the news cycle is changing so fast. Same thing. I wake up Saturday, we bombed Iran. Like, holy mackerel! Then I wake up the next morning and the big man had died. Y'all probably know who I'm talking about. And then later that afternoon, I go out for a run and I come back and ceasefire.
Yep.
What? It was changing so fast.
Well, and then the ceasefire got broken.
Yeah,
And
then
the
about
ceasefire,
yeah,
But
I
it's back
literally.
but it's back in now, I think.
Is it?
Hell, I don't know.
See, I can't keep up.
Well, that's what the whole news cycle is like. Everybody's got to react. Like, was this the right thing or the wrong thing to do? I'm like, probably not going to know for quite a while.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
I don't know that we're going to know. You know, I think that's probably a boring answer
Well-
to have, but I'm like, I don't know if we should have done it or not.
I did see.
I think there's circumstances where it's like, yeah, we did a good thing. But then they're like, we totally annihilated their nuclear, you know.
Capabilities, yeah.
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 And then it's like, no, we didn't. We only set them back by like 2 months. And it's like, well, which is it?
Well, and then
You
I
know?
saw where Putin said he would give them nuclear warheads. Like he would supply them with nuclear warheads.
Really?
Yes, I had seen a thing where it was like Putin says he, but I did appreciate Trump. He was like being interviewed, and someone asked him like, "Or what do you think about? Does there need to be a regime change, this and that in Iran?" And he said no. He said, "I don't want to see a regime change." He said, "We've seen what a regime change can do," and he said, "All it does is create chaos."
It's a vacuum.
Yep. So he was like, I don't want to see a regime change. And so, I mean, your experience in that world, what are your thoughts?
Well,
Take us back. Should we have bombed and then go from there? This is the official statement of the United States Marine Corps.
no, let's not go that far. I personally think we had to. And the reason being is because you do not want Iran to get a nuclear weapon because they will use it.
Yeah.
And as soon as they get one, they will use it. Why I say this is going back to when I was getting ready to go to flight school. I actually trained a Saudi. He had failed out of flight school and he was getting ready to go to the basic school in the Marine Corps. And I spent 3 months getting him into shape in order to be ready to go to TBS. So during that 3 months, I've had multiple conversations. I actually went over to his house and had tea with him one time.
Really?
And he's an ally.
But he was a Saudi
Yes,
national.
he's a Saudi national. And we train, I mean, if y'all didn't know, we train foreign nationals that are allies of ours throughout all the services.
So they'll come here and
Yes.
okay.
And so he was not part of the royal family, but not like you think in the chain of command. He's like cousin twice removed, whatever, but he's still quote unquote part of the royal family.
Yeah.
And so he was an officer in the Saudi Arabian armed forces, and he was supposed to. He had a slot at flight school, and he couldn't go through flight. He couldn't make it through flight. I think he couldn't. He kept getting sick, is what I think, if I remember right. So,
All them damn GMO food he's eating around here.
and this is in the 1980s.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, I'm training, and I've had multiple conversations, and he flat out told me, now this is one of our allies, and he goes, Hitler didn't do a good enough job. Was the first thing he told me, killing Jews.
Well, damn, Bobby Lee, you already like this guy.
Oh, hell.
You're never gonna live this no down,
He's
man.
not. Thank you, Dan. Yeah, he's not.
So the next thing he told me was that at some point in the future, all of the Arab countries, and he didn't say Arab, he said Muslims, countries are going to come together, and they are going to push Israel into the ocean.
Really?
And
Now, was he for this?
for doing that?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Gotcha.
That was his mindset.
All right, well, finish this, and I got a question on
Yeah.
that.
So, what I told him was, I go, if y'all did that, what do you think the United States is going to do? We're going to defend Israel.
Yeah.
They're our strongest ally. I mean, you can, how Israel was founded, you can go back into all that along with it. But I go, then you're going to be fighting me. And he goes, so be it. We'll fight you. And I go, you're going to lose.
Yes.
I mean,
But that's how deep
Yes.
that goes. Like,
Yes.
Yeah.
that's why my opinion is always there will not be peace in the Middle East. Like,
it'll be very tough. I
like
think,
long term. Like the best we can hope for is that they, you know,
Well, believe it or not, I firmly believe that in Saudi Arabia right now is one of the moderate ones. They have a chance at peace over there, I do believe, because that was 1980s.
Is that mentality dying off?
That with the younger generation, that mentality's dying away.
They're tired of the damn constant war.
So are they not as like hardcore religious?
I wouldn't say that. They're still. I mean, I'll put it this way: they're much more religious than we are over here by far.
Well, that's probably not hard to do.
No,
these days.
that's very true too. But I think that the first time I went over there in the early '90s for Gulf One, we would pull after hostilities ceased. We would pull into port because we were still on the boat. And we would be in Kuwait or Qatar usually is where we would go, and you would go in Doha or whatever.
Yeah.
And you go get a beer. You could get a beer at the English hotels. So you couldn't buy beer anywhere else, but you could buy beer at the English hotels. So we'd always go to the hotels and get a room and get liquored up. But even then, they all wore the Arab garb, I guess. Would say the women were full face. You didn't see anybody with like you never saw any women with their face uncovered or
really?
Any kind of Western clothing whatsoever.
Yeah.
If you did, it was so few and far between. It was an oddity.
Yeah.
I was just back over in Dubai last year, and that's all you see now. Is
really
you'll see everything from the hijab and the guys wearing the robes, the flowing robes, and I get why they do it because it's so blasted hot over there. Those things are probably the coolest things
unless you
around.
can get a little breeze in there.
But you would see everything from the women with full face mask to some of them wearing part of it but their faces uncovered, to the younger generation especially, fully westernized, jeans, shirts, and no kind of religious clothing whatsoever.
So why? All right, I made a note here. This is what I was going to, like on the dude you train and stuff. Why do they hate the Jews?
Okay.
They don't even view Israel as a legitimate state.
No.
Right.
No. And that goes back to how Israel was founded.
Yeah.
And so after World War II, and Hitler doing what he did, the Jews, and I shouldn't say the Jews, but because it wasn't just them, but people that were world leaders at the time were influenced because the Jews said, we need our own homeland. This would not have happened if we had our own homeland.
Yeah.
Okay. So the people that won, primarily the UK and the United States, said, okay.
Yeah.
And we carved it out. We used the Bible, and we carved out Israel based on what the Bible says.
Yeah.
We kicked the Palestinians out. That's where the Palestinians hate the Jews so much, and they always say, that's our homeland.
Right.
Well,
why don't they just pushed into the Gaza Strip?
Why don't they just come pick a fight with us? Because we're the ones that did it.
Yeah, they don't do that. So that's why.
Interesting.
So the Palestinians, and there's some legitimacy there. I mean, so we established, and then the UN recognized, and there's a movie. It's a Kurt Russell movie. It was on just this last weekend, and I cannot remember the name of it. But he was a U.S. officer in World War II, and he went and he was one of the ones that actually helped establish Israel.
Really?
And
man, what is that movie? You got me racking my brain.
I can't. A good life, something along those lines. But it's a pretty decent movie about how Israel was founded.
Yeah.
And it's actually based on a true story.
Really?
Yeah. The guy that Kurt Russell plays, it was actually a true figure.
When did it come out?
Oh God, it would have been probably in the 60s.
No way. Kurt Russell?
No, what is his dad?
Not Kurt. Kurt Russell's dad.
No, who was? He played in Harm's Way. The guy who played in Harm's Way opposite.
Oh crap! That wasn't Kiefer Sutherland, was it?
No.
Dang it! You got me all kind of confused.
I swear it's Kurt Russell. Got the cleft chin.
Well, he has cleft chin.
I'm pretty sure it was Kurt Russell.
I mean, he's been in Hollywood a long time. He would have been a really young guy.
Yeah, he was. I mean, he was probably 70s, 60s, late 60s, 70s movie time frame.
Well, there's a TV show called The New Land, but that wouldn't be it. You say it's a movie.
It's a movie.
Man, yeah, you got me racking my brain over here.
Anyway, to finish what I was talking about, Bobby Lee, so that's why the Palestinians hate us. The Arabs hate the Jews for pretty much the same reason, because we imposed our will on what they term as and what they believe it was their land. And, and you can go back even further than that if you want to. You can go back to the Crusades, and because that figures into part of this too.
Yeah.
So it's a. You're probably right. We probably never will see peace in the Middle East because it's such a deep hatred.
And I'm reading a book right now. I talked about it last week, and it's just, which you don't realize because how relatively young Israel is.
Yes, 1946 or 47 is when it was founded.
Really?
But some of the Arab countries refuse to compete against them.
That's right.
In the Olympics or the World Cup.
They did at one point, and you remember
because they're like, we don't even recognize them as this is completely illegitimate.
And the '68 Olympics, you remember the terrorist attack?
Yeah. Is that Munich?
Yeah, I think.
Cast a giant shadow.
That's it.
It's Kirk Douglas.
Kirk Douglas.
All right, I was like, man, 1966.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know it was a Kirk.
I've never seen that.
You should. I would highly encourage you to watch it, just because, like I said, it gives a pretty good depiction, and it's based on a true story. So,
yeah.
But anyway, and they teach it in the school. The Muslim community, Muslim states teach it in their schools. At least they used to. I'm beginning. Like I said, I'm getting the impression that the younger generation.
Maybe they're not now.
Well, I don't know that they're not, but some of the more westernized Muslim countries like Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Kuwait, even Iraq to a certain extent, they're moving away from it. Now, your ones that are being run by the mullahs like Iran, Afghanistan, obviously they are, but they're still teaching it in schools, and they're teaching their kids to hate Jews, and by extension, death to America. That's where it comes from. Death to America is because we back the Jews, and they know that we're not going to allow Israel to be pushed into the ocean.
Yeah,
we're going to stop them.
Yeah,
and so that's where death to America comes from, because we back Israel.
I got a funny clip I need to play you about death to America. Let me pull this up real quick.
And that's where obviously Israel is an ally, and obviously. At least from my perspective, we just obviously value them. We helped found the state of Israel, but we just, I think, at least from my perspective, value having an ally over there in that part of the world.
Well, it's the only democracy in the Middle East,
right?
And like I said, the thing about Israel, since their founding, they've been fighting. And they're damn good at it.
We've talked about that.
That's the whole kind of premise of that book, and it's like, man, all
right, I got a
that's
clip.
Where Dan was so off base last week. It's like, man, no, I sympathize with them. Like, man, and I mean, it's a tiny area, relatively speaking.
Yeah.
And everybody around you wants you dead.
Yep.
And more than just you pissed off your neighbor. No, they think it is.
It's a moral thing to do to kill you.
Right.
Yeah.
If they can ever figure a way, for lack of a better word, to make the Palestinians whole, I think you would have a shot at finally getting peace. Like I said, it seems like the younger generation, in my opinion, is moving away from all, because like Logan's, they're
just tired of it, man. I get that.
And one of the problems with the Gaza Strip and all the Palestinians. Because it's so densely populated. They're all packed in there. Because I don't know. And again, if I really, that's the only thing I'd ever known was my home. But I'm like, I would just want to leave. Like, it's an awful situation. I mean, again, that's... I couldn't imagine somebody forced me out of my home, but, like, nobody else will take them, right? Like, none of the other Arab countries will take in the Palestinians or refugees. Is that right?
I don't, and the Palestinians are different from the ones in the Gaza Strip.
Okay.
The Palestinians are more central, and I guess that would be Eastern.
Is that like the West Bank?
Yes, like the West Bank, etc. That's my understanding, and I could be wrong, but my understanding is that is traditionally where the Palestinians view their homeland.
Okay.
Is in that area, and then the Gaza Strip is another section of Muslims, and you're right, it's very densely populated. I'm sure there's Palestinians in there, but I don't. That's not. My understanding is not that. That's not like quote unquote
a stronghold for
Palestinian, traditional homeland is what I'm trying to say.
Well, this is
they've been fighting over that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What's the guy?
Time. It's like what Trump said the other day with the sound bite.
They don't even know what the F they're doing anymore. They've been fighting so long.
For so long, they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
I love it. Well, that's I
was like, that's the most honest thing any world leader has said about that situation.
You could tell he was exhausted.
100 years.
He's like, exhausted with it.
And he's
like,
off.
I just want the damn economy to do well.
Yeah.
And I'm dealing with this bullshit.
This is what's the guy from Iran? What's that guy's name?
Oh, that's the Ayatollah.
All right, well, here he is begging for them to stop saying death to America. This is an honest plea.
Yeah, I think I know where this is going.
Okay, I know some of you crazy motherfuckers are calling for death to America and crazy shit like that. But let's get real, people. The new American president with the nice hair is not fucking around, okay? He specifically told me he will shove a bunker buster missile up my ass if I ever harmed any American. And I don't know about you, but that shit sounds painful as hell. So let's all just chill a little bit, okay? Go fuck a goat or whatever you crazy guys do in your spare time, okay? Thank you.
Yeah, that's gotta be him.
I was gonna say that is real.
No way that is AI generated. Yeah.
No way.
Oh man.
That's funny.
Yeah, that was.
You need to send me that.
Yeah. So you need to get on Instagram so I can.
I did.
That's the kind of stuff.
You shouldn't. It's a waste of time.
Oh man, Bobby Lee and I send stuff to each other all the time.
I know, and I end up when I had Instagram and I had Facebook when the girls were young. And once JoJo turned 18, graduated from high school, I dumped all of it because it is such a freaking time drain.
Oh, it is.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, it is. It definitely is.
And I don't give a shit what you ate for dinner last night.
Yeah. Oh, I'm on it for the memes. That's why I'm on there.
That's good.
Me and you had talked about this, man, years ago about just all the Middle East conflict, and we were talking like this was when every time something happens, it's like, oh, we got to go in and establish democracy. Yeah. And, we talked about like, man, that culture, they don't really understand democracy. They just understand power. And that's the one thing I did tell some people. We were talking about the bombing of the nuclear sites. And I'm like, man, if we get into conflict, like, look, I'm just going to be brutally honest here. If we get into a conflict, I don't want another 20-year war. I want us to go in and swing the big hammer and then get the hell out of there. Ideally, I'd rather us drop a big hammer and then get out of there.
You've got the right president for that right now. And
yeah.
I love Trump or hate him. He does not believe that we need to be in a protracted war. And he learned. The thing that I like about Trump, and like I said, you can love him or hate him. It's up to you. But he watches and he learns. Just like he said, we've already seen regime change. I don't want regime change because we've seen what happens.
Yeah.
And he does not want to get the U.S. involved in another war. You can read all of his comments that he had about the Iraq and Afghanistan war. So but at the same token, he's not afraid to use the military might of the United States.
Yeah.
And going back to should we have bombed Iran or not? In my opinion, yes, because we are the only ones that had the platform with the capability to drop a specific bomb that only we have. No other military in the world has that capability.
Really?
We are the only ones that have that capability.
Yeah.
And so, from my standpoint, should we have done it? Yeah, because you don't want. They are crazy enough that they will use the son of it. They're. When you talk about, and it goes back to the proverbial, 1%. The 1% of the Muslims that are leading, that are hard right, hard left, whatever, which way you want to look at it, they're the ones that take power. Afghanistan's the first, is the same way. ISIS in Afghanistan, they're such a small population. The majority, the flip side, and I know it sounds like that I've been, talking about the Muslims and their mindset, and it's all about. You talk to the people on the street, and I've talked to taxi drivers. I've talked to guys in the store. You generally, women won't talk to you if you're Western, because that's still frowned upon.
Yeah.
Although the younger generation is getting better, they will smile at you now and they will say hi.
They don't get beat down later on for it?
Probably not. But the people that I've talked to are just regular people. All they want to do is live their lives.
Yeah.
And they are as tired of all the horse shit politics as everybody else is.
Oh man, I can't imagine. I mean, you think about from the America standpoint of the 20-year war.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we were so damn tired of the 20-year war. That's 20 years. They've been fighting for hundreds of years.
And that's one of the things that the mullahs and the proverbial 1% that cause all the problems. That's what they believe, is that America does not have the guts to last.
Yeah, we got the watches, they got the time.
Yeah, that's the way they think about it.
Yeah.
And
does America have the stomach to do what it's got to do?
In this day and age, we have the capability. Now, I don't know since Vietnam that you have the American public, because you look at 9/11. Right after 9/11, you saw Democrats, Republicans, liberals, conservatives, everybody come together.
Yeah. How
long did that last? All of about a month before Bush was in office, and they were freaking, he just went into Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So the politics start.
Yeah.
So I don't know that there could be, outside of a 9/11 Pearl Harbor type attack in the United States, that would bring the country together to galvanize us to go, okay, it's time to go kick some ass.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long that would last. Like I said, 9/11, it lasted a month. Maybe.
Yeah. And look at that. I mean, well, that's what, there's so many guys that kind of speculate different things that I follow. And there was some that were talking, and Israel's done some shady shit.
Oh, yes.
And that's what, there was some guys that have said, like, man, they kind of suspect a false flag attack just to more or less motivate the United States to, all right, now we got to jump in the picture. And see, a lot of them, and nothing happened, luckily, but that there was an old aircraft carrier I saw, it was like a month away from being retired, that was sent to that region.
Yeah.
And people were like, this thing's about to get freaking smoked, and they're going to make it like, and a lot of the little conspiracy guys were like, it's going to be Israel that's going to blow up this aircraft carrier. And they were like, man, there's some shady shit.
Oh, there is. I mean, there's a lot of people that still believe 9/11 was
inside
Bush,
job.
It was an inside job. Bush did it.
There's some interesting stuff on it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But once again, 9/11, the guys that did that, I mean, that's their mentality. But it's such a small segment of their population that, unfortunately, they are the ones that run these countries. And when they run these countries, they use it, and there's a segment. If you're a hardcore Muslim, you believe that the Muslim faith is just destined to take over the world.
Really?
And if you're an infidel, which we would all be classified as infidels, you either convert to Islam, or you go to a slave labor camp, or they kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I mean, the crazy thing in the news just the last couple of days, because you see where a lot of Europe is becoming very,
Very much so.
Muslim.
Yeah.
And apparently the
New York.
New York City Democratic nominee is going to be like a radical
He's a
Muslim.
My wife just told me on the way over here. He's a socialist Muslim.
Yeah.
Socialist Democrat.
Did you
but
see?
they expect he'll win because I guess Adams is going to run as an independent.
He's running, and they
So that's the only hope.
Pam
is
told me that she was, I don't know what news, because we don't have Fox News anymore. So she was watching one of the news programs, and the Republican Party in New York came out and told, because Cuomo, he beat Cuomo in the Democratic primary, and so Cuomo has said, I think I'm going to run as an independent. And you've already got Adams running as an independent. And they said, please, whatever you do, do not run as independents. If you do, you're going to get him elected.
Yeah, it's going to split that little vote.
He's going to split the vote, and you're going to get him elected.
Yeah.
Whereas if they don't run, then the Republican would most likely win.
Well, they were saying one of the most, after the dude won the primary, one of the most Googled things in New York City was, what is socialism? And that's what's crazy, because I guarantee you a bunch of those dummies voted for it.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's where I'm like, crap like that, man. Well, look at what Minnesota is like, very Muslim.
You want to know one of the highest concentrations of Muslims in the United States? Dearborn, Michigan.
Really?
Yep. And Minnesota's also, but Dearborn, Michigan has a huge Muslim.
Wonder why.
It's just where they went. Birds of a feather. And the thing that you're talking about, Bobby Lee, in Europe, there are sections of Paris and Germany, not so much, because Germany cracked down on it. But there are sections of Paris that are completely Muslim. I don't know whether it's true or not, because I've spent a lot of time in Europe, and in particular in Paris. I have been told, I don't know 100% that it's true or not, but I wouldn't doubt it, that in these Muslim sections, there are certain sections that the police will not go in.
Yeah.
They have imposed Sharia law in these they call them aggrandizements, but they're neighborhoods, and the police don't go in there. I don't know whether that's true or not, but I wouldn't be surprised. So
Yeah.
It just, I don't know, man. It just blows my mind.
I say that's the thing that gets me also is, if you immigrate to a country, which they let these people immigrate. It used to be you assimilated. When my great grandparents came over here, they wouldn't let their kids speak Italian in the house. They forced the kids to speak English, because you're in America, you're an American, you're going to speak English.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Well, we've talked about that. There is no American identity anymore.
Mm-mm.
You know, that's the one thing I've said. Like, Putin, say what you want to about him, but he has made remarks like, basically, if you come to Russia, you're a Russian.
Mm-hmm.
You become a Russian. You're not going to come to Russia and you're not going to wave a Mexican flag or an American flag. You can wave the Russian flag.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing with America. Like, it's okay. Like, hey, if you're an Italian, you come to America, you want to cook really good spaghetti and have little parties, by all means. Are you going to fly the flag of Italy? No. You fly the American flag. You're an American. Like, this burning the American flags and flying the Mexican flag, then take your ass to Mexico.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if that's the way you feel, then just get the hell out of here.
If it's a U.S. citizen that's burning the flag, I actually don't have an issue with that. I spent 30 years of my life defending your right to do that.
Yes.
And so, but at the same token, somebody doesn't like that and they come up and protest against you doing that, then guess what? I also defended their right to protest you burning the flag.
Yeah, you can face the repercussions of your actions.
Now, like I said, what the answer is, I don't know. But I will tell you that in all of my travels, most everybody that I've ever come across, they just want to get along. Some of the nicest men that I've ever met in my life, and Bobby Lee would love them.
He loves nice men.
Yeah, I know.
It's pride, not
were some of the Muslim guys that I met over there. Just very, very nice, very well spoken.
Yeah.
The guy that I in flight school that I was telling you about, just as nice as he could be, and very well spoken. Like I said, and the majority of them,
But he's a bit anti-Semitic.
but he's a bit, but they're a bit, and unfortunately, though, like I said, I think from my generation, and even to a certain extent, y'all's generation, I think that was beat into them. I don't think so much because the internet's really done a lot for them to see what's going on. They're like, what the hell? Why do you think they throttled the internet in Iran, China? You know?
Yeah, all them girls over there now jamming some Taylor Swift. They don't want to get whipped in the closet.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, man, yeah, it's I could see that. Like, it's kind of funny. We're seeing this like hyper push of Muslim or Islam or whatever, and then, but where it's been so dominant, it's doing the same thing that every other religion is, and it's watering down.
Yeah.
Because that's like, I mean, Christianity is, we've just been like steadily declining. Except for in Africa, isn't it Africa? That's the fastest growing.
Africa and Asia. And that's why when the Pope, I was shocked. I couldn't believe it was an American.
I can't either. Was he Georgia or somewhere?
No, Chicago. He's from Chicago originally. But everybody expected that it was either going to be an African or if it was going to be somebody from Asia, because those are the two regions where Catholicism is growing. But you know what's weird right now that's going on? All the Christian religions in the United States are going up. They've reversed.
Really?
And believe it or not, obviously, as you would expect, women are the ones that are leading church, but there are more men that are starting to attend church regularly now. And this, from what I understand, from what I've read, what they suspect is that in this society that we live in now, with the internet and everything being that quick, they're looking for something that they can't find through the internet, and it's a higher being.
Yeah, we've talked about that, like with my preacher and stuff, and how I think we have a generation now that is so desperate for actual truth, because there's nothing is true anymore. And like
can't
now,
believe it.
You mean like the Ayatollah giving that speech? Like that wasn't true?
No, that was true.
Yeah,
that was definitely true.
That was off of Instagram, so that had to be true.
It has to be true. But like you think about this generation coming up, like everything is fluid.
Yeah,
there's your truth. Everything is called your truth. Well, what is your truth? And so it's like, well, Christianity offers the truth, and it's like that's the consistent truth. And so that is where I can see that. And that's kind of what my preacher was saying. He was like, people are hungry for truth.
Yeah.
And he said, so I could see where that resurgence is kind of coming back. That makes me feel good to hear that. It's but my biggest fear with us in this country, as far like honestly, Iran right now doesn't make me really nervous. Which I had asked my buddy that's in the Navy. I was like, man, because all we kept hearing about was our military's been so depleted. And I asked him, I was like, man, should I be concerned? And he said, our naval superiority is so much better than everybody else's. He was like, we could defeat anyone. And so I was like, well, that makes me feel better.
The only wild card is China.
Yeah. Which I think, like I said, he said our Navy superior is what just dominates.
But China is spending, they're like Reagan in the 80s.
Really?
As far as what they're doing right now.
Well, that's, I don't know, man. China is a wild card. Yeah. China's just messed up everything. I mean, like our ag markets get shit on because of China. Like, China. I'm not an anti-Semite like Bobby Lee, but I'm like not a fan of the CCP sometimes.
Wow, I don't blame you.
We have like we get like 2 downloads a month from the CCP.
Do you? Wow.
Yeah, and it's probably not growing because they kill the person every time when he listens to this show, because he's got to be like, or it's one dude that's like sneaking off to listen to talk dirt to me, because I feel like this would be like American propaganda they would not allow.
But China throttles the internet. You've got to have a VPN, and some of the VPNs won't even work in China.
So some dude is legit like sneaking a VPN to listen to Talk Dirt to me.
Most likely, yes.
So if that stops, then I'll know he's been killed.
Probably.
So Godspeed be with you, our one Chinese listener.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never been to China.
You've been to China?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Several times, multiple times.
I love fried rice.
I do too. Yeah, I do too. I like the Chinese food.
Is that Chinese or is that Japanese?
China fried? Is it China fried rice?
I know all the Chinese restaurants have fried rice.
Don't ruin it for me. I like egg rolls too.
I think egg rolls are Chinese, but
I know. I go to the China Star buffet.
Some fried wontons.
Yeah, wontons. I get the chief special roll. I don't know what's in it, but it's tasty.
Yeah.
Well, that man, I mean,
appreciate their culture.
Yes. I do not want us to go to war with them. But I mean, I guess we got to always state that we are like anti-war. Like we don't want to go to war.
We're just anti-death.
Y'all are Trumpies. Y'all are Trumpies. That's what y'all are.
I mean, I did wear my shirt.
Yeah, don't want to go to war.
Yeah,
that's a great shirt.
I love this shirt, man. I bought it like the minute. It was crazy. For people that can't see, I've got my shirt on of Trump. He's getting up after he's been shot. He's got his fist in there and blood.
There's blood flying.
Yeah, look at the blood flying out.
That's Trump's actual blood on the shirt. Right?
It is. Yeah, they put a little bit of his blood in every like the Sydney Sweeney soap.
Yeah.
The bath water.
Wasn't there like some crazy like rap dude that like his shoes, like Nike was gonna make shoes.
Yes, it's that queer
like some kind of satanic blood thing.
Lil Nas X.
Yeah.
It had like a drop of his blood in every pair of shoes. He's like a devil worshipping gay black rapper.
Wow. Bobby Lee doesn't know who he is?
I saw the outrage. It's kind of typical. Like everybody has to be outraged about everything.
Yeah.
Everybody was so wound up over it.
But he's a gay black devil worshipping rapper. That's quite the
That's quite the
If
list.
he would become a tranny, man, he would morph into like a demigod of the woke culture.
Yeah, he'd get like his own stripe on the flag.
You know, there's people that claim he's not gay. Like there's people that knew him in high school and they claim that this is like
a persona.
Hollywood has, or whatever, the kind of like the Diddy crap. Like they were like, we're going to make you famous. We're going to make you super successful, but you're going to be a gay rapper. And like there's a lot of people, like I've seen like people have shared like documentary clips where people are like, this dude ain't gay. He is that deep in now that they're making him do this. Like it's a weird control thing is what they're saying. Like they have this much control over people. Now I've seen like, I saw the devil worshiping one and I'm like, he looks pretty gay. So, I mean, they're doing a good job. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know, man.
So how do you know what a gay guy looks like?
Man, I sit next to one every day. No, man, we're just roasting Bobby Lee on this one. Man. Bobby Lee's. We're just. You didn't know this was the roast fest tonight.
Yeah, I can take it.
After being called an anti-Semite, you can handle it.
Yep.
Right.
Got thick skin.
It cut me so deep last week.
Well, what's your closing thoughts for us on the Middle East over there?
I hope that the ceasefire holds is the first thing. And that they start to figure this out. I think they have a chance to do so. But, I mean, it's the Middle East, and so you never know what's going to happen with the thing. But, you know, I pray for peace every day over there. But like I said, you cannot allow the mullahs to get a freaking nuke, because if they do, they're going to use it, and that's not going to be good for anybody.
So you think they would use it like in the time they got the capability that it wouldn't,
especially right now when Israel went in and 2 weeks ago, the first strike. Oh, you damn right they would do it in a heartbeat. And if they
would strike back right at Israel with a nuke.
With a nuke, and then Israel's going to turn around and nuke the hell out of them. Iran would become nothing but a sheet of glass.
Yeah.
Do you think Iran would try to nuke us?
They don't have the capability
to get it here.
Now, what is dangerous is, and this scares me, because of all the people that came in that we don't know who they are or where they are.
Okay, that's actually the point I was going to make earlier. I got sidetracked. We don't know who's in our country.
And it ain't hard to make a dirty bomb. Probably, I mean, being a doc, it ain't hard. It ain't hard to come up with some stuff that would do a lot of damage relatively quick, and it's relatively cheap.
Yeah.
And like I told you, you get these guys that are 100% believe,
that they're morally right.
That they're morally right, and
Well, I mean, they're
when they're going to get the whatever 77 virgins or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. That's what a buddy of mine, we were talking about, like, Clay Travis always makes the point that he's like, North Korea doesn't scare me. Typical, like, just dudes, men are motivated by one of three things, except for these radical Muslims, because they so believe that I guess they are motivated by one of those three things.
But they're going to get it in the afterlife.
They're getting it in the afterlife. You're right. Yeah. Women, money, and power. And so it's like Kim Jong-un, like, I mean, at the end of the day, he's another guy.
Yeah.
Like we know, like, Putin, like, you can kind of negotiate with him. But, like, these dudes, like, no, they think it is their divine, purpose.
Absolutely. And what's the problem is the ones that are running the country, the mullahs, they're motivated by power.
Yeah.
But they have ingrained this into the 1%, the ISIS guys, that are now motivated by the versions in the afterlife.
Yeah.
Well, just, all the ones that are willing to the suicide bombings.
Yeah.
Not that they're the only people that have ever done that, but they certainly have kind of cornered the market here lately on it.
Yeah. It is crazy, man. I mean,
but all you can do is pray, and I mean, purely my opinion, but I think we have the right person in charge of our country as a president to handle this situation right now. I believe that he is willing to use force if he needs to. He doesn't want to.
Yeah.
But he's willing to do it if he has to. And that's what you need right now. You don't need somebody that, like past administrations, that vacillated one way, drew a line in the sand, and then he got crossed and nothing happened.
Yeah.
So I hope for the best. I pray for the best, but who knows? I'm kind of agree with Bobby Lee. They've been fighting since the beginning of time, and they'll probably continue to fight until the end of time.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's that time on the show. I'll play the man, then we're going to put you on the spot.
Sure.
Here you go. Well, I've got to turn the volume on here. All right, now here we go.
Let me start off with two words. Made in America.
All right. So you know the deal.
Yes, sir.
What product or brand made in America would you put your stamp on?
Okay. I got actually two of them.
All right.
The first one is to shout out to my Marine Corps days, and that would be Lockheed Martin.
Okay.
They make the Hellfire missile.
Oh, nice.
So, because I was thinking about this, and I'm like, what have they not done? Because I know y'all have done Buffalo Trace.
We have, but we have not done any missiles. That is a new one. That is a new one.
That's a new one.
And Mr. Tim speaks from experience.
Exactly.
We like to talk about things we know experience.
Exactly. You said my stamp of approval.
There you go.
I like the Hellfire missile. It does a really good job.
All right. I love that. Yeah.
The other one would be Old Dominick. Everybody knows about Blue Note being a Memphis-made whiskey.
Yeah.
There's another one. It's Old Dominick Distillery down on Front Street, and so that would be my other shout out.
Which Mr. Tim obviously donates a lot of bourbons to, us just to consume as we record. But I believe this one may make its way into the giveaway.
Yes. As long as you are, I guess I will have to ask if you're 21 years of age. As long as you're 21 years of age, you will receive Old Dominick single barrel, 118 proof.
Yep, it's hot.
It is. I've not had that one. I've had one of the Old Dominick.
And if you're not 18, then Logan will be happy.
Sure. If you aren't old enough to have it, then I guess it will just become one of our studio whiskeys that we will enjoy.
And then the other thing is, if you're not 21, or even if you
That's
are,
right. We got both.
you got the set of Blanton's toppers, a complete set of toppers for Blanton's with the horses that spell Blanton's all the way
I
across.
finally assembled that.
Did you?
Yeah, I did. I went through. I had like a bunch of bottles, and I had like 8 N's or so, or 8 A's, something, and I needed like an O.
Yeah.
And I went to the liquor store one day and I finally found it. So yeah, now I have the full name of
You should have
Blanton's.
called me. I could have traded you. I mean,
Well,
I
that's
might
cheating.
have one or two.
That's
I might
cheating.
have one or two.
Did you get yours like arranged or made in it?
The wife got me the horseshoe, and so I've got the horseshoe with the Blanton's bottle sitting in the middle.
Gotcha.
But yeah, my daughter's actually selling those things on eBay right now, and she's actually done pretty well. So, and they're complete sets with the bag, so man, it's pretty neat. So
Yeah, so you get y'all didn't know you were getting an add-on to the giveaway. So like I said, if you're
Yeah, you got like 2 hours to
Yeah.
get entered if you're listening to this when it first drops.
yes, like you better
If not,
get
you
after.
should have entered weeks ago.
Yeah, see, because you're gonna miss out.
It should have entered weeks ago anyway.
Yeah, did you enter?
Well, of course.
All right.
I think I've got 10 entries in the thing because I don't do all the social media stuff, so that limits how.
We got 1 or 2 that I've seen. They had 41 entries.
Wow.
They did. They referred it. Like they're killing it, man. And I hadn't looked now to see, but there's some people that are absolutely crushing the crap out of it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be the dude with 1 entry that wins. That's the way it always happens.
It will, yeah. If that's how I am. Yeah, if I enter 100 times, I'm not going to win.
Yeah.
So, well, man, Mr. Tim, we enjoy it, man. It's been fun.
Thank y'all for having me on. I greatly appreciate it. I hope I added something to the conversation. But
Man, like I said, I think it's good to actually hear from somebody that's been in the sandbox.
Yes.
And because again, I have no experience in that world, and so I'm either reading it on the news or reading it in a book.
And in this day, like you were talking about fake news before,
Yeah.
And in this day of AI, how can you tell what's?
I know you
what
can
is-
only trust what you hear on here, like that clip I played.
Exactly.
That was
exactly.
legit.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we need you guys to do a couple things. First, we need you to leave us a rating and a review, and leave us 5 stars. I haven't looked to see where we're at on Spotify. We were getting real close to 400 5-star ratings. I gotta look now. I'm curious to see how close we are. We're at 397. All right, so we need 3 5-star ratings on Spotify to get to 400. If you're listening to this on Spotify, please leave us a rating on there, and Apple as well, anywhere you listen. And if you have the capability of rating, do so. It does help us out on the exposure side of things. And guys, also want you to comment below. Let us know what you thought of the episode, and any questions or anything you got. Feel free to comment that on here, or send us a message, talkdirtpodcast.com. And also
agzaga.com discount code. Again, it's new. If you hadn't listened in a few weeks, shame on you, but it's talkdirt20, $20 off, a $50 minimum order, and free shipping. Go online, check them out, fill the shopping cart up, use the code. You won't be disappointed.
do it. Also, hey, real quick, did you see where Joe Rogan had the crazy Liver King after?
Yeah, they apparently arrested him for making terroristic threats or something.
It's crazy. He's already back out and he's making more. He's put up like videos. Are you familiar with the Liver King?
No.
He's making a lot of money off this.
He's
probably.
I looked up a thing today, and it said in 2023 his net worth was $310 million.
Liver King?
Yes, they were saying he makes like an insane amount of money.
Off of supplements?
He's got a supplement company, and I think he even has other companies. But he's gone bonkers. This dude.
So did Rogan come out against him or something?
No,
So-
I imagine Rogan won't even comment on it.
Well, what it all stemmed from, Liver King he became famous on the internet. He's super jacked, dude. He has a big beard, and he looks like a caveman, but he's like shredded to the bone and muscled up. Well, he became famous because he eats raw liver, and he says that that's part of like the strength. He'll even eat bull testicles. He'll be like, if you're a man and you need to jack your testosterone up, then you eat testicles of bulls, and he'll eat them raw. Like he eats everything raw.
Raw.
Yeah, and so
How's this dude not dead from salmonella?
Yeah. Well,
It's all the steroids.
Yeah.
Apparently they're keeping him.
oh, dude. And
Because
seeing,
then he got busted. He was doing like all kinds of anabolic steroids.
yeah, his stack got leaked, and it was like, yeah, a bunch of juice he's on, which everybody, and Rogan would be like, this Liver King guy, he's juiced to the gills. Well, apparently Netflix put out a documentary about Liver King, and I haven't seen it, but Liver King agreed to it. And I guess he thought that they were going to make him look really good. Well, apparently, I guess they made him look like a doofus. And they, I think, had Joe, I don't know if they pulled clips from the podcast or what, but he basically is like talking about what a bogus person Liver King is. So now Liver King is like, I'm going to fight you, Joe Rogan. And he's been like nonstop. He has a video up, and he's got 2 gold-plated AR-15s in his hands. And he's like, I'm coming for you, Joe Rogan. And like, so people are like, these would be perceived as death threats.
No shit.
And so then he went to Austin, Texas, or Houston, wherever Joe is. He actually, him and his family went there just the other day, and he's putting up videos. He's in like a tactical vest, and he's got this box on the table, and it looks like a damn bomb, and it's got Joe Rogan's face on it, and then he's got like these lighter things all around. His mouth is blue. His teeth and his tongue are blue. Like he's on, people are like, this dude is on some stuff. And he's like, I'm here, Joe. I'm coming. Like, I'm coming for you.
He's got to be doing this for the publicity. He knows Rogan is so big. So this has got to be blowing up.
He's got a ton of publicity because
Yeah.
I hadn't heard anything from him since he got busted with steroids.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, well, and this is like, I think he's gained like 1 million followers.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, he's got to be doing this just...
Probably because his life has now become a viral thing.
Yeah.
Like that's what he became viral and famous from doing bizarre things of eating raw meat.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess after the steroid thing happened, it like plummeted his thing. And so maybe, man, but because he's continuing it now.
Hey, there's your way to 1 million subscribers, man. Just go after Joe Rogan.
We just need to start. We've asked him to have us on. I guess we need to travel to Austin, make death threats.
Well, you didn't invite him up here?
We haven't. We need to invite. Have we formally invited Joe on the show?
I don't know that we have.
Joe, you're formally invited. You know what really we need our listeners to rally.
There you go.
If all of our listeners would
Does he
start.
ever do other podcasts?
I don't know that I've ever hardly seen him do them.
Right.
He might have gone on
I
like.
thought I heard about him doing one just like in the last couple months or something. I may be wrong.
He may have gone on like Theo Vaughn or something one time, but I don't see him on a lot of other shows. But
Well,
I mean,
why would you when you're that big?
yeah, when you have basically the #1 show, what's the point?
Yeah.
I would love to talk to Joe. Bobby Lee and I have said that we'd love to talk to him and actually give him the perspective of farming from our side.
I was just going to say that would be a hell of a damn podcast because y'all can actually tell him the other side from what he's hearing from these people that don't know farming.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. Godspeed to Joe. Hopefully you don't have like some lunatic Liver King show up at your doorstep. But the dude is nuts. I mean, he looks nuts as crap. And yeah, he's out, and now he's continuing the death threats and like, yeah, he's just a nut. But his wife is there too. His wife and his sons.
I would assume this is all very calculated to just all publicity is good publicity, or there's no such thing as bad publicity kind of thing. Yeah,
it's got to be. It's got to be.
He's just
planned.
wanting to keep his. I mean, hell, we're sitting here talking about it on a damn ag podcast.
Yeah. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed. We had a little deviation from ag there tonight, but like I said, Mr. Tim is a gay man. I mean, a hay man. So
Hey, I would normally have my hay man. Freaking, I had to bush hog. That's what I did today. I was on the tractor all day today, bush hog, because my hay man he's been slacking. He's freaking complains, says he's got a job he's got to do.
Do you know who the hay man is he's talking about, Bobby Lee?
And then he said it got too wet and everything. Just excuses. Got overgrown, so I had to cut it.
Yeah, we had a 7-inch rain a week ago tonight. Yeah.
For those of you that haven't put this together, Bobby Lee is his hay man. So,
Yeah.
all right, guys. Thank you, Mr. Tim.
Absolutely. Thank y'all.
We'll catch y'all next week.